Hello and welcome. It's so good to be with you here today. Today we're going to be looking at Psalm 42. And the Psalms are some of the most beautiful, honest, and heart-wrenching writings in the Bible. It is beautiful poetry. And Psalm 42 in particular is a cry to God that does not have a happy ending. The psalm is a powerful and honest reminder for us that it is healthy to ask questions and to admit that we all have times of doubt, loneliness, and trouble. So today our reading comes from Psalm 42, and we'll be starting with verses 1 to 3. As the deer pants for flowing streams, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for you, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? My tears have been my food day and night. When they see me all day long, they say to me, "Where is your God?" Now clearly, this is the cry of a man that things are not going well for. People do not crowd around and jeer at someone who's in the middle of a great success. They come to gloat at a person who had hopes that have been dashed. Someone who's in the middle of a time of despair. That's when people ask, "Where is your God now?" Have you ever had times where you feel like your food day and night is tears? Where everything was going wrong and even the smallest thing would bring everything crashing down? Where it seemed that you had lost all that you hoped for, all that you knew was gone, and you didn't know where to turn? When we experience times like this, the psalmist has a lot to teach us. He has a lot to teach about hard and discouraging times. And although he is honest about what's going on, the beginning of the psalm puts into perspective what our ultimate goals should be. Above all else, and to frame this whole conversation, the writer says that he longs for God. Do you remember the last time that you were really thirsty? I mean, just physically. So yesterday I went for a run, and I hadn't gone in a very long time. And I made the mistake of going with a friend. And of course, he'd been training a bit, and I wanted to keep up, so I pushed myself. And by the end of it, I collapsed. I was just completely exhausted, and there was nothing that I wanted more than a cold drink of water. There was nothing more that I wanted in that moment. And this is the feeling and the desire that we are to have for God, where it's the only thing on our minds, where we will do anything to get that. Where no matter what else is going on, what we long for most, and the one thing that we cannot live without, is God. Often, these opening words, "as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs for you," are used to portray a good thing, a sort of happy time where there's nothing better than just being with God and we're just thanking Him. But that's not where this writer is coming from. This is the opposite of the situation in the psalm, because clearly the psalm writer is talking about something that he does not have. He's not sitting beside the pools of water and drinking them. He is longing for the pools of water. He is longing for God. So when he asks, "When shall I come and behold the face of God?" he's not feeling close to God, but there is still a desire for God. Especially in tough times, we must thirst for God. And this doesn't mean that it's wrong for us to desire other things as well, or to ask God to change our situations, but it does mean that our primary desire is to be for God. Our circumstances are to come second because of how much we desire God. And so for the rest of this week, we'll continue going through this psalm, and we'll be looking at how we are to respond in tough situations. And we're going to be looking at what Martin Lloyd-Jones calls spiritual depression, and that's what the psalm writer is dealing with throughout Psalm 42. So today is an application. Focus your heart, your mind, and your soul on God. The first commandment in both the Old Testament and the Ten Commandments and the New Testament, when Jesus says that there are two important commandments in both, the first and most important commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. And when we begin to understand the love and kindness and grace and joy that God lavishes upon us, the natural thing, the natural response is to desire God. Who doesn't want more of that? And this leads us to thirst for Him, to want Him more and more. So pray today that you would thirst for God, and that we as a community of followers of Jesus would grow in our desire for Him.